Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here with Supersize Your Business. What better way to finish our series on change and challenges than to talk about the idiom, kick the habit. So we're going to discuss 15 ways, 15, maybe a couple bonus ways, to kick the habit. Tips and tricks and strategies that you can use to stop doing something that you don't want to do anymore. When we think of kicking a habit, we think of stopping or discontinuing something that we think isn't good for us, overcoming or giving up habitual, addictive, repeated use ways of behaving that we don't think are in our best interest. For example, tobacco use, alcohol use, narcotics, or any other kind of drugs, controlled substances. Self-talk, negative self-talk, narcissistic behavior, doubt, fear, worry, challenges, making our mindset negative. There's all kinds of things we can think of that we would want to get rid of in our life. And most of those are habitual patterns, ways of being that we automatically do on a subconscious level. We don't even think about it anymore. You know, it's like going to the movie and automatically getting popcorn and milk duds and a soda, even though you normally wouldn't eat or drink those things anywhere else. But the movie triggers childhood memories of, hey, I gotta have popcorn, gotta have treats, gotta have fun, gotta make a mess, gotta get sticky, you gotta enjoy the movie. And we automatically go back to behaviors and things that are linked together in our minds. So we know that forming a habit takes mainly three things: reminders, routines, and rewards. And so breaking a habit by keeping those things in mind requires that we find ways to sever those things or use them in a way that creates the habits that we want and lets go of the habits that we don't want. So what are some of these great 15 tips? Number one, we have to identify our triggers. We have to identify what makes us behave in a certain way. Sometimes we just have to take a couple of days and observe our own patterns and behaviors. If you notice that you're staying up way too late at night, we want to find out what is the cause of that. Why am I staying up way too late? What things trigger me to stay up too late at night? Right now I'm hanging out with my amazing little granddaughter, and sometimes I stay up too late at night because she's fussing and won't go to sleep. Other times I'm watching a movie or a show, or I'm engaging with people on social media, or I'm doing something that goes longer than I think it's going to, and I end up staying up too late at night. So we want to find out what are the triggers, what are the reasons I'm doing that behavior, and then we want to use some of our other tips and strategies to counteract those triggers, or to answer or eliminate those triggers so that they don't cause us to do the behaviors that we don't want to do. Number two, we want to focus on why we want to change. We always want to know, what do we want and why do we want it? Because that motivates and drives us through when it gets a little hard or when it gets a little difficult. So identify what causes you to behave in ways that you don't want to behave in, and maybe it's people, maybe it's environments, maybe it's situations. And then focus on the reason why you want to change. Why do you want to change? Well, what's in it for you, future pace, what's in it for you if you don't stay up too late at night? What's in it for me is I can get up, I can do the things I want to do the next day, and I can feel good about myself and better about myself because I've accomplished the things that I set out to do, and I'm not tired and lethargic and dragging my way through it or drinking 18 cups of coffee. Number three, enlist a friend's support. Get help or support from a friend. Nothing makes losing weight easier than doing it with a friend. Nothing makes changing habits or starting to exercise easier or more fun than doing it with a friend. You've got an accountability partner that helps to remind you why you're doing it, that you're doing it together, that yeah, there's going to be times that are easier than others, but if we stick to it, if we commit to one another, we'll get through it. Number four, we want to practice mindfulness. We want to think about what we're actually doing as we identify the triggers, because most of the things that are habitual for us are all being handled on a subconscious level. And that's great if they're things that serve us and move us toward the things we want, but that's not so good if they're things that don't serve us and they undermine us from getting the things that we want. So we want to be aware of our thinking and our thoughts and our feelings around these behaviors that we want to stop. We want to pay close attention to that. Number five, we want to replace the habit that we want to get rid of with something else. If I want to stop eating in front of the television, I have to find something to replace eating in front of the television with. Maybe it's I don't watch television at all. Maybe it's I replace the habit of watching television in the evenings with going for a walk or something like that. Going for a walk in the evening would feel much better to me than watching TV mindlessly and snacking on junk food. So replacing one habit for another habit, a good habit for a bad habit, it's kind of like the emotional guidance scale. Get a better feeling behavior, get a better feeling, and move on with that as you change and morph and grow into behaving and being exactly like you want to be. Number 6, leave yourself little reminders. Make little reminders like Post-it notes perhaps around the refrigerator, or depending on what and where the habit is that you want to change. I used to keep above my phone and on my computer at work when I was making sales calls or dealing with customers. I always had a little Post-it note that said smile on it with a smiley face. Why? Because it reminded me to smile, and when we smile when we're talking on the phone, it actually comes through, and people actually respond to you better than if you're frowning and serious and all stressed out about the 18 million other things on your desk. 18 seems to be my number today. So leave yourself reminders, whatever types of reminders work for you. I used to wear a rubber band around my wrist to remind me of certain behaviors I wanted to do or not do, usually that I didn't want to do, and every time I did it, I would snap myself with the rubber band. I can't remember where I learned that. I learned it from some guru. It worked for a while, but then I was always with the red band around my wrist, and I was like, okay, maybe that's not super effective. Number 7, prepare for slip-ups. Know that the chances of you being perfect the first time you try to stop a habit are slim to none. So just prepare yourself mentally and physically to realize that slips happen, and just because you slip, one day, if you're giving up sugar for a month and you slip one day, you don't throw away all the previous days that you successfully given up sugar. You just realize that you slipped, and then you just get right back on the horse and start over again. Number 8, let go of the all or nothing thinking. And I think this helps with slippages. So often, I remember back in the day when I would yo-yo diet, I would believe that if I cheated one day or if I ate one thing that wasn't on my diet, then my whole diet was over. That's all or nothing thinking. But if you realize that, hey, I've been eating in this healthy lifestyle for 6 months and I had cheesecake on my birthday, it's not the end of the world. No all or nothing thinking. Number 9, don't ignore progress. Again, this goes in line with that. Count and appreciate and be grateful for the progress that you're making in changing this habit and this behavior in your life. Number 10, start small. Start with something small. Experts recommend that you only change one habit at a time. Now, unless the habits go together. So, for example, if I want to stop watching TV in the evening and I'm going to go for a nightly walk, replacing that habit is changing actually 2 habits. It's getting me more exercise and healthier, but it's also getting me away from unhealthy eating in front of the television. So in that instance, you can change or substitute habits. But otherwise, start small. Don't say, I'm going to go on an annual challenge, or I'm going to do a 365-day challenge if you've never even been able to do a 5-day challenge before. If you've never given up sugar for 5 days, don't say you're going to give it up for a month, things like that. So start small and then build up. Build those muscles. It's like any other muscle. We have to build up to what we want. Number 11, change your space, change your environment. That might mean the people you hang out with. That might mean your physical environment. Just change it up, and that will help you to change the habits that you've had. We link things together in our minds. Everything's linked together and everything's triggered. And so if we change something, it automatically changes other things. Number 12, we want to visualize. We want to use the power of our imagination and visualization to focus on what we want and how things are going to be when we achieve our goal of eliminating this negative habit. Number 13, practice self-care. If you don't take care of yourself, and a lot of good habits are practicing self-care, and if we're substituting practicing self-care to eliminate negative habits, that's always a great substitution. 14, remember to reward yourself. We continue to do things that make us feel good, right? We're always going for things that make us feel good and staying away from things that make us feel bad. So we want to remember to reward ourselves along the way for our changed behavior. 15, be patient with ourselves. Cut ourselves some slack sometimes. Realize that real lasting change takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. It's kind of like thinking there's overnight successes. And I added a 16, get help. There are some habits and some behaviors that we absolutely positively need to get professional help with. Certain mental things, certain mindset issues, certain long-held beliefs, certain childhood trauma and things have created habits in us for protection and safety, and we might not be equipped on our own to deal with those things. Sure, we can stop biting our nails on our own. We can become a morning person and start a morning routine on our own. We can do all kinds of things on our own. We can actually do anything we decide we want to do on our own. But sometimes we also need to enlist the help of professionals and people that have trained and have expertise and have knowledge and wisdom in areas that we aren't aware of. So those are some ways to kick the habit. Kick a bad habit, replace it with a good habit. Remembering reminders, routines, and rewards are how we form habits in the first place. We have behaviors and things that remind us and trigger us and set us off to behave in a certain way. We have routines then that come out of, and behaviors that automatically result from those reminders or triggers, and then we feel some sense of reward by the routine and the behavior that we're using. And we can take those and we can use those for our benefit, or we can use them for our detriment. The tricky thing about habits is bad habits are easy to form, hard to break. Good habits are harder to form, easy to break. If we keep that in mind and cut ourselves some slack, we will make the habits that work for us and our business and our life. Any questions, hit me up in the comments below. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow with another interesting idiom, maybe about change and challenge, maybe not. Maybe we'll switch our theme for a while as we complete the free Get Up and Go challenge this month. Have an awesome day. If I can help you in any way, if there's an idiom you'd like to know the meaning of, share in the comments below. I would love to hear how you go about kicking habits, what's worked for you. I'm a cold turkey gal in a lot of habits. Bad habits I've had for a long time. I have trained myself to go cold turkey. What works for you? Share in the comments below, and I will be with you tomorrow. Have an amazing day.